Imagine this. You've worked hard all your life, staying true to your values, treating others with kindness and integrity, always striving to do what's right. But despite your efforts, success seems to elude you. Meanwhile, you watch individuals who manipulate, deceive, and disregard ethical boundaries climb the ranks, achieving success, power, and status. You may even wonder, how is it that the most self-serving, morally questionable individuals often seem to thrive in a world that values hard work and ethics? This is the paradox of success. It's perplexing, isn't it? How do those who often lack empathy or moral consideration achieve what many of us desire, success, wealth, and influence, while those with strong principles, who care about others and act with integrity, struggle to make significant progress? At the heart of this paradox lies a question that challenges our perceptions of success. Why do the worst people often seem to succeed, while those with integrity or a strong moral compass often find themselves overlooked or disadvantaged? Understand this. We need to consider several societal forces, psychological tendencies, and mindset shifts that have shaped our definitions of success and power. The world around us has a way of rewarding behavior that prioritizes self-interest over altruism, cunning over honesty, and manipulation over genuine collaboration. In a world where power is the ultimate measure of success, it's no surprise that individuals who prioritize dominance and control tend to rise to the top, often at the expense of those who follow a more ethical path. The sad reality is that success isn't always determined by merit, talent, or kindness, but by an ability to manipulate the system, bend it to one's will, and play the game. It's not enough to be good, to be honest, or to be hardworking. Those traits often go unnoticed or unrewarded. What truly propels individuals ahead in society is the ability to exert power over others, to dominate situations, and to claim victory by any means necessary. At the core of this phenomenon is the psychology of manipulation. Narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths, individuals who exhibit a lack of empathy and a hunger for power, are particularly skilled at navigating social and professional spaces in ways that lead them to success. They understand how to manipulate others, control perceptions, and influence decisions. Charisma, deceit, and persuasion become their tools. The narcissist, for example, knows how to project an image of confidence and success, captivating others with their charm and self-assurance. Sociopaths, on the other hand, thrive in environments where they can exploit others' weaknesses, using deception and cunning to climb the ladder without remorse. Their lack of conscience is a significant advantage in a society where moral boundaries are often blurred in the pursuit of achievement. The strategies used by these individuals are calculated and cold. They know how to make others feel valued, only to discard them once they've served their purpose. They know how to twist the truth and create a narrative that suits their needs, using their social intelligence to manipulate others into following their lead or supporting their ambitions. They may not be the most qualified or the most capable, but they know how to market themselves in a way that garners attention, respect, and, ultimately, power. This dynamic is perpetuated and even rewarded by the structures that govern our society. In the workplace, for instance, cutthroat behavior is often admired and even incentivized. The person who takes credit for others' work, who undermines colleagues, or who steps on others to get ahead, is often seen as a go-getter, someone who is ambitious and assertive. In contrast, the individual who is humble, who values collaboration, or who works selflessly is often overlooked, seen as too passive or lacking in initiative. In politics, the landscape is even more apparent. Power is gained through manipulation, persuasion, and strategic alliances. Politicians often rise to power not based on their values or ideas, but by playing the political game, aligning with powerful individuals, making promises they don't intend to keep, and engaging in tactics designed to sway public opinion. In many ways, politics rewards dishonesty and opportunism. Leaders who can convincingly lie, project confidence, and manipulate media narratives often achieve greater success than those who strive for integrity and transparency. The media, too, plays a pivotal role in reinforcing the idea that power and influence can be won through manipulation. Celebrities, influencers, and public figures who manipulate public perception, create controversy, or perpetuate drama, are often the ones who dominate headlines and gain the most attention. The media elevates those who are able to control their image and exploit the emotions of the masses. These figures are celebrated for their ability to influence others, regardless of the ethical implications of their actions. The public's fascination with scandal, drama, and spectacle creates an environment where those who thrive on manipulation are not only accepted, but celebrated. Society's obsession with power and influence is deeply ingrained, and it shapes the way we evaluate success. It's no longer enough to be good at your job, to be a kind and ethical person, or to have genuine talent. What matters most is how you play the game. The system rewards those who can navigate the complexities of social power, who can manipulate perceptions and control outcomes, often at the expense of others. In this environment, those who prioritize control and domination have a distinct advantage. Success is no longer a reflection of hard work or merit, but of one's ability to manipulate the system to their advantage. Those who prioritize power and dominance often outperform those who rely on empathy, collaboration, or ethical behavior. The systems we live in are designed to reward manipulation, exploitation, and the pursuit of self-interest, creating a cycle where the worst individuals often seem to succeed. And as society continues to reward these behaviors, the line between right and wrong becomes more difficult to distinguish, with success becoming increasingly tied to the ability to manipulate others and control situations to one's advantage. Society is riddled with cognitive biases and blind spots that enable morally dubious individuals to slip through the cracks, escaping scrutiny, and sometimes even gaining admiration. These biases, ingrained in human psychology and social norms, perpetuate a system that often rewards unethical behavior while punishing those who behave with integrity. Two key biases that play a crucial role in this dynamic are the halo effect and confirmation bias, both of which contribute to a culture where success is often defined by outward appearance and personal traits, rather than the ethical means used to achieve that success. The halo effect is a cognitive bias in which an individual's overall impression of someone, whether positive or negative, shapes their perception of that person's specific traits. If someone is charismatic, confident, or successful, we are likely to assume that they possess other positive qualities as well, regardless of the truth. This is particularly dangerous in a world where appearances often take precedence over substance. A leader or public figure who displays confidence and decisiveness may be assumed to be competent and morally upright, even if their actions or decisions are ethically questionable. This bias shields these individuals from scrutiny, as their outward persona casts a positive light on all their actions, regardless of their underlying motivations. This tendency is reinforced by confirmation bias, the human inclination to favor information that confirms pre-existing beliefs. When someone with power or influence appears successful or charismatic, society is often eager to find evidence that validates their success. We overlook the flaws, errors, or ethical lapses of these individuals and focus only on their achievements. If a manipulative person has managed to climb the social or corporate ladder, their success is seen as a sign of competence, not exploitation. The more power these individuals acquire, the more the world around them becomes blind to their darker traits. The cognitive bias doesn't just allow these individuals to slip through the cracks, it actively protects them from being held accountable for their actions. The admiration that society holds for confidence, ambition, and assertiveness, traits that are often associated with success, is another powerful force that perpetuates this cycle. People are naturally drawn to individuals who display self-assurance and determination. In fact, these traits are often seen as prerequisites for success in today's world. However, when these same traits are tied to unethical behavior, they are no longer seen for what they truly are. Instead, they are celebrated as signs of leadership, decisiveness, and vision. We tend to admire individuals who are outwardly confident, regardless of whether their confidence is based on competence or manipulation. The confident person who bullies, deceives, or exploits others is often seen as strong or assertive, while the humble person who strives for collaboration and transparency is dismissed as weak or passive. This bias encourages the cultivation of confidence and ambition at any cost, even if those traits come with a disregard for ethics and fairness. The role of social validation in all of this cannot be overstated. Social validation, the need for acceptance and approval from others, is a deep-seated human desire. In modern society, this validation is often tied to outward markers of success: wealth, status, power, and influence. These outward markers, however, are not always reflective of an individual's true character or integrity. Rather, they are often associated with the ability to manipulate, exploit, or control. As a result, behaviors that mimic success, such as ruthlessness, self-interest, and a disregard for others, are often rewarded and admired. People who display these behaviors are seen as winners in the eyes of society, regardless of how they arrived at their success. The more power these individuals accumulate, the more they are socially validated and celebrated, which only reinforces their belief in the righteousness of their actions. This dynamic creates a vicious cycle where morally questionable individuals are celebrated, and those who strive for fairness, humility, and ethical conduct are overlooked or marginalized. As a result, society becomes trapped in a system where success is increasingly defined by one's ability to manipulate and control, rather than by the quality of their actions or the morality of their behavior. The validation of cutthroat individuals, propelled by biases like the halo effect and confirmation bias, perpetuates a culture where ethical lapses are ignored, and those who pursue personal gain at the expense of others are rewarded for their efforts. This blind spot in society allows the worst people to thrive, as their outward success and confidence obscure the darker truths of their actions. In a world where social validation is tied to external markers of achievement, individuals who use manipulation to rise to the top often find themselves protected by these biases, and their success becomes an unquestioned symbol of competence. Meanwhile, those who embody qualities of integrity, humility, and cooperation often find themselves overlooked and marginalized, as they do not fit the mold of success that society has come to celebrate. Ultimately, the biases that shield morally dubious individuals from scrutiny are deeply ingrained in human psychology and societal norms. These biases shape our understanding of success, making it easier to admire confidence, ambition, and outward success, while ignoring the ethical implications of how those achievements are attained. The challenge is to recognize these biases, question the definitions of success that society has imposed on us, and reclaim a more holistic, ethical understanding of what it truly means to succeed. In a world driven by competition and the constant pursuit of success, personal ambition is often viewed as the key to achieving greatness. It's the fuel that powers the relentless drive of individuals who climb the social and professional ladders. But when ambition is unchecked by moral consideration, it often leads to success, albeit a success that comes at a cost. The world rewards those who aggressively pursue their goals, regardless of the ethical implications of their actions. For some, success is defined by their ability to outmaneuver others, manipulate situations, and exploit weaknesses, and they often justify this behavior as necessary for achieving their ambitions. The concept of success at any cost is deeply ingrained in society. From a young age, we are taught that success is the ultimate goal, that it is what will bring us wealth, respect, and happiness. However, the problem arises when this pursuit of success becomes a zero-sum game, where the only way to win is by stepping on others. Individuals who embrace this mindset view the world as a competition where only the strongest, the most ruthless, and the most cunning survive. In their eyes, the end justifies the means, and anything that contributes to their success is acceptable. This could involve exploiting others, using deceit, or even abandoning moral principles entirely. This worldview often leads to the justification of unethical behavior. For example, consider individuals who manipulate the system to get ahead, whether through lying, cheating, or exploiting others for personal gain. They don't see their actions as immoral, but as necessary steps to succeed in a world that demands results. In their eyes, their success is proof that their approach is justified. After all, if society rewards those who achieve their goals, why should they care about the means by which they get there? For them, the focus is on the prize, not the process. They see morality as a luxury that only the privileged can afford, while the rest must do what it takes to survive. This mindset often creates a moral blind spot. Ambitious individuals may truly believe that their actions, no matter how questionable, are justified by their goals. They may convince themselves that the world is inherently competitive, and that to succeed, they must play by the rules of that competition, regardless of how those rules are constructed. In fact, many of these individuals may even view ethical concerns as naive or outdated. They may see empathy, compassion, or selflessness as weaknesses that can be exploited by others in the race for success. As a result, they rationalize their lack of moral consideration, viewing their actions as simply part of the game. At the same time, there is a stark contrast between these self-interested individuals and those who struggle to succeed while adhering to principles of compassion, fairness, and selflessness. Those who prioritize ethics over personal gain often find themselves at a disadvantage in a world that rewards ruthlessness. They may be overlooked, sidelined, or taken advantage of by those who are willing to bend the rules for their own benefit. Their refusal to compromise on their values may prevent them from achieving the success they desire, as they navigate a system that often punishes those who play by the rules. This discrepancy between self-interest and selflessness highlights a deep flaw in the way we define success. Success, in its traditional sense, has become synonymous with power, wealth, and status, metrics that are often achieved through manipulation and exploitation. The qualities that are associated with moral individuals, compassion, kindness, fairness, are frequently undervalued or seen as naive in a competitive world. Those who struggle to succeed while remaining true to their values often face significant obstacles, as they must compete against individuals who are willing to compromise their integrity to reach the top. The corruption of ambition is not just a moral issue, it's a systemic one. Our society has created a framework where success is primarily measured by external achievements rather than internal growth or ethical conduct. In such a world, ambition becomes a double-edged sword. It can drive individuals to do incredible things, but it can also lead them to sacrifice their principles for the sake of gaining power and status. The more an individual is willing to compromise their values in pursuit of success, the more likely they are to succeed in a system that rewards those traits. This raises the question, what is the true cost of ambition? For those who are willing to sacrifice their morals, the reward is often external: wealth, power, and status. But the internal cost can be steep. The toll of constant manipulation, deceit, and moral compromise can lead to feelings of emptiness, isolation, and dissatisfaction. Ambitious individuals who chase success at any cost may achieve their goals, but they may also lose themselves in the process. They may wake up one day, having reached the pinnacle of success, only to find that the very things they sacrificed, honesty, integrity, compassion, are the things that ultimately bring true fulfillment. In contrast, those who prioritize ethics over ambition may face setbacks and challenges, but they often find meaning in their journey. Their success, though perhaps not as outwardly impressive, may be more genuine and fulfilling because it is rooted in authenticity. They may not have the same wealth or status, but they can take pride in knowing that they navigated the system with integrity and compassion, remaining true to their values. The question remains, is success truly worth the price? While ambition can drive individuals to achieve great things, it can also lead them down a path of moral compromise and emotional emptiness. The true cost of ambition may not be immediately apparent, but over time, it becomes clear that the pursuit of success at any cost can have profound consequences for one's sense of self, happiness, and fulfillment. As we continue to navigate a world that often rewards unethical behavior, it's important to ask ourselves, what kind of success are we truly striving for, and what are we willing to sacrifice to attain it? Success achieved through unethical means may appear satisfying in the short term, filled with wealth, status, and power, but it comes with a cost that often reveals itself only later. The emotional isolation that follows is one of the most significant and painful consequences. Those who climb the ladder of success by manipulation, deceit, and exploitation often find themselves alone at the top. They may have achieved their professional or personal goals, but they have lost the meaningful connections that are crucial to emotional well-being. Genuine friendships, built on trust, empathy, and mutual respect, are replaced by transactional relationships. In this hollow environment, every connection becomes a tool for furthering one's own agenda, rather than a genuine bond based on understanding and support. This emotional isolation can lead to profound personal turmoil. The realization that the relationships they have built are empty and self-serving can be disheartening. The feeling of emptiness creeps in, and despite their outward success, individuals often find themselves struggling with anxiety, loneliness, and depression. The constant need to maintain a facade, to manipulate or deceive others in order to protect their position, can be mentally and emotionally exhausting. They are constantly second-guessing the motives of those around them, unsure of who to trust and whether anyone truly cares about them for who they are. not just for what they can provide. The long-term damage to relationships is another inevitable consequence. The act of exploiting others to achieve personal gain often leaves a trail of broken trust, damaged friendships, and alienated family members. Trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. As these individuals continue their ascent in a world that values power and success over integrity, they may find themselves surrounded by sycophants, people who are only interested in what they can gain from the relationship. True, authentic connections become scarce, leaving them to question whether they will ever be able to form meaningful bonds again. Societal values play a significant role in perpetuating this cycle. Modern society often elevates individual success above the collective good. The emphasis is placed on personal achievement, material wealth, and the accumulation of power, with little regard for how these goals are achieved. In this environment, the means of attaining success often become secondary to the ends. As a result, individuals who succeed through manipulation and deceit are often celebrated, while those who prioritize collaboration, kindness, and ethical behavior may be overlooked or even punished for their perceived lack of ambition. However, this pursuit of individual gain over collective well-being often leads to a lack of true fulfillment. No matter how much power or wealth one acquires, there is an underlying emptiness that cannot be filled by material success. Research in psychology has shown that the pursuit of extrinsic goals, those driven by external rewards such as money, status, or fame, often leads to diminished well-being. In contrast, individuals who focus on intrinsic goals, such as personal growth, relationships, and contributing to the greater good, report higher levels of satisfaction and happiness. Those who prioritize personal gain over collective well-being are often left dissatisfied no matter how much they acquire. From a philosophical perspective, the emptiness of a life built on manipulation and deceit has long been recognized. Friedrich Nietzsche, for example, critiqued the values of a society that prizes power, control, and dominance over authenticity and self-expression. Nietzsche argued that individuals who live in accordance with societal norms and seek success at the expense of others are living in bad faith, denying their true nature and potential for growth. According to Nietzsche, such individuals are trapped in a cycle of inauthenticity, constantly striving for external validation rather than living according to their true values and desires. Similarly, Schopenhauer believed that the pursuit of external success, particularly through manipulation and deceit, leads to a cycle of suffering and dissatisfaction. He argued that desires and ambitions, especially those shaped by societal values, are inherently futile. They create endless striving, but never lead to true fulfillment. Schopenhauer viewed life itself as a struggle, and those who seek success through unethical means are merely postponing their suffering, as they will eventually face the consequences of their actions. Psychologically, the long-term effects of a life built on manipulation and deceit are profound. Research on self-deception and cognitive dissonance reveals that individuals who engage in unethical behavior often experience inner conflict. They may rationalize their actions, but deep down, they struggle with the dissonance between their moral compass and the behavior they engage in to achieve success. This ongoing internal struggle can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and a diminished sense of self-worth. The more individuals deceive themselves about the righteousness of their actions, the more emotionally and psychologically drained they become. Moreover, the societal glorification of power and success at any cost encourages individuals to ignore the deeper, more meaningful aspects of life. In a world where success is equated with wealth and status, many are tempted to sacrifice their integrity to achieve these goals. But the true cost of such success is not measured in money or power. It is measured in the toll it takes on one's emotional well-being, relationships, and sense of purpose. The individual who pursues success at any cost may achieve external validation, but they will forever be haunted by the emptiness that accompanies a life lived without authenticity or ethical consideration. Ultimately, the long-term costs of success gained through unethical means reveal that true fulfillment cannot be attained through manipulation and deceit. The emotional isolation, personal turmoil, and long-term damage to relationships that follow such success are undeniable. The pursuit of power and control, when divorced from ethical considerations, leaves individuals empty, even when they seem to have everything the world deems valuable. The very system that rewards these individuals for their success, based on A warped definition of achievement ultimately leads them to realize that the cost of their success is too high, a cost that can never truly be compensated by wealth or power. In the end, the paradox remains. While unethical behavior can often propel individuals toward outward success, wealth, power, and recognition, it inevitably leads to an inner emptiness that no external achievement can fill. The personal turmoil, emotional isolation, and fractured relationships that follow such success are a heavy price to pay. The relentless pursuit of power, manipulation, and deceit may bring temporary rewards, but these rewards are hollow in the face of a life devoid of true meaning. True success, as we should redefine it, lies not in external validation, but in personal integrity, meaningful connections, and inner fulfillment. It is found in living authentically, aligning one's actions with values, and fostering relationships based on trust and respect rather than manipulation. True fulfillment comes from understanding that real success is about living in harmony with oneself and contributing to the collective well-being of others, rather than merely climbing the ladder of power and prestige. So, as you reflect on the nature of success, ask yourself, is the pursuit of worldly gains worth the cost of your character, your relationships, and your inner peace? The true measure of success lies in how you live, not just what you achieve.